To understand Indonesia, understand wayang, the play of the shadow puppets. In this land of myth and mysticism, the puppet master controls movement and meaning. Behind a screen of authoritarian rule, Indonesia is a stirring giant. The world's largest archipelago, with the fourth largest population, almost 200 million, speaking more than 250 different languages. The most populous Muslim country in the world, with a Chinese minority that controls much of the wealth. Eager to become a regional economic superpower if internal tensions don't tear it apart first. In a land covered in rainforest, he's called King of the Forest. Bob Hasan, one of the most powerful men in the country, longtime friend of the puppet master, Indonesia's President Soeharto, in a country where such connections are all important. Bob Hasan owns two of Indonesia's largest conglomerates, making plywood for construction and wood pulp for paper. Second only to Brazil, Indonesia holds most of the world's remaining rainforest. Hasan's success depends on these forests, and to protect his success, the forests themselves must be protected. At a government research lab, reforestation is a top priority.
Kalau kita tidak jaga hutan ini, nanti kita negaranya itu bisa jadi kayak padang pasir. Dan oleh karena itu di sini harus dijaga supaya betul-betul bisa menghasilkan bibit-bibit yang terbaik. Nah, begitu juga orang hutannya ini. Di sini kan kita bisa kasih lihat bos data, ya. Artinya hutan kita masih ada. Kalau nggak ada hutan kan mana bisa ada orang hutan.
Indonesia is a vast land, 3,000 miles across from east to west. A land rich in resources, oil, gas, rubber, timber. And its land of islands, Bali, Java, Borneo, and 13,000 more spreading across 5 time zones. To link these islands for the 21st century, Indonesia's leaders dream of highways in the sky, fast, efficient air transport built by Indonesia's own aerospace industry. IPTN, the Indonesian Aircraft Industry company, is Southeast Asia's biggest maker of airplanes. B.J. Habibie is Minister for Research and Technology. His dreams for his country's future are starting to become reality.
Gimana itu sudah ya? Sekalian nggak ada masalah ya?
Nggak ada, Pak.
Jadi ini
jalan lancar.
Ini N250 mock-up yang kayu. Ini kapan selesai ya?
Selesainya,
persisnya.
Selesainya pertengahan tahun ini.
Many consider Habibie's plans impossible. How could a third world country with no technology succeed in the aircraft industry? But he persevered, seeing this as a chance to leapfrog Indonesia into the 21st century.
Itu seluruh door termasuk tangganya kita yang buat. Ya. Semua ya.
Habibie believes that the Indonesian aircraft factory will act as a catalyst for further high-tech industries, a way to jumpstart Indonesia's technological growth. But with less than 2% of his countrymen holding a college degree, Habibie knows that success demands more education. For now, he must nurture the few trained technicians he has. Rahmat Shihab is one of Habibie's bright young men. Rahmat is the first from his village ever to go to college to become an engineer. It is to Rahmat and others like him that Habibie must look if Indonesia is to continue building up a high-tech infrastructure. Habibie's ministry has set up a national exam to find the country's best and brightest engineers. Those who qualify will study abroad for several years in Japan, Europe, or America with the top aerospace companies in the world.
Kita masih sangat jauh.
The technology of our company may be considered advanced, but only within Indonesia. We still need to learn many things from foreign countries. So this examination to study abroad could be the chance of a lifetime for me. If only I can pass it.
Today, about 1/3 of Indonesia's people live in its cities. The capital, Jakarta, is bursting at the seams. With President Soeharto's insistence on political stability, business and industry are booming. But the nation's infrastructure is badly strained from the rapid growth, and the boom has raised new pressures on the family, on values, and revived old regional and ethnic anger. Almost everyone in this country is called pribumi and is a Muslim. In colonial days, the local pribumi meant peasants, workers, civil servants. The merchants and businessmen were Chinese. Today, the Chinese, less than 5% of the population, still control over 2/3 of the country's economy. Francois Tomasoa, son of one of the few successful pribumi businessmen. His father sent him to America to study business. Now he's back to work in the family business called the Bumi Group.
Yang kami inginkan adalah
I feel we cannot let the economic gap between the Chinese and pribumis grow any larger. The Chinese are good businessmen, no doubt about that. But they only make up a small part of the population. Now is the time for us pribumis, who make up the huge majority, to break into the world of business. If we can get involved, I think we can make the economy really take off.
Indonesia, the fabled Spice Islands. For 3 centuries, the Dutch colonial masters drained away the wealth of the country, shipping everything from oil and rubber to coffee and pepper back home to Europe. To help run the economy of the islands, the Dutch brought in thousands of Chinese. The Chinese grew rich, but the local pribumi remained trapped in poverty, envious and resentful. It took the Japanese occupation of World War II to break a centuries-old pattern of colonialism. At the end of the war, Indonesia won its independence. The late President Soekarno, a flamboyant and charismatic nationalist, had campaigned to free his country from the Dutch. But 20 years of his misrule left the economy and the nation in shambles. A leftist coup attempt nearly succeeded in 1965, but a young general called Soeharto crushed the rebels and took power. The Chinese minority became scapegoats in the aftermath of the failed coup. Racial and religious differences fueled bloody riots. Over 500,000 people were killed. The government closed Chinese schools, banned Chinese publications, and encouraged Chinese to adopt Indonesian names. Today, the government tries to preserve a delicate balance between Chinese and pribumi. And though many ethnic Chinese no longer speak Chinese or acknowledge their heritage, memories of the riots remain. The antagonisms are just behind the screen. hidden in the shadows. Bob Hasan, one of Indonesia's richest men, lives in Jakarta. He is of Chinese descent, but he doesn't consider himself Chinese, just Indonesian.
Jadi kalau di Indonesia,
the number of Chinese in Indonesia is not very large, but the Chinese have a grip on the economy. I feel it is very important for the strong to assist the weak. Otherwise, we won't be able to narrow the gap between rich and poor or solve the ethnic conflicts. These are the most important issues.
After abandoning his Chinese name, Hasan converted to Islam and married a Pribumi woman. Hasan, like most ethnic Chinese, has embraced Islam. "700 miles from his home in the city of Jakarta, Francois has flown to Sulawesi Island to return to his native tribe, the Toraja. When Francois was just 2 years old, his father left Sulawesi Island with his family, choosing the sophistication of the city and the life of an entrepreneur. Now they're back to help make funeral arrangements for Francois' great uncle, the former chief. Like so many in Indonesia, the Toraja have held strongly to their ancient customs. The funeral will be a grand ceremony, attended by thousands of the tribe. As is a custom, the body is buried with a wooden doll representing the deceased, a guardian of the grave. This entire village has been built just for the funeral. After the old chief is buried, it will all be burned. Although his family no longer lives here, Francois' father is still an important elder of the tribe. His business success is much admired, and the tribal leaders have asked him to make a speech in honor of the occasion.
We inherited a wonderful tradition from our forefathers. We must continue to guard it with care and to practice it. So please teach your children and help keep alive our Toraja language. I pray that even if you leave here, you will keep in your hearts the good of this place and pass it on to your children.
Francois is typical of a new generation of Pribumi, educated, sophisticated, modern.
Each time I return to the Toraja tribe, I feel as though I can hear the voices of my ancestors. I want to work hard, to be successful, and to share my success helping my fellow Indonesians. I feel that I have a mission to help the Toraja tribe and to give the poor people of my country a chance.
Francois' father owns a hotel on the island, and almost everyone who works here is a member of the Toraja tribe. One of the first to benefit from Indonesia's rapid growth, his father did not forget his roots.
So that is very good for Toraja people also that, in our construction here, it means we can accommodate more and more. And
Francois' father will soon retire from the family business. Francois knows it will not be easy to take his place. Some 55 million people live in the cities, and more come each day, drawn by the promise of jobs. Yet many still live without running water or electricity. Indonesia has to find a way to raise the basic standard of living of all its people. That means education and continued economic and technological growth. Indonesia's growth will depend on young engineers like Rahmat Shihab. Going abroad to study is a chance to help his country as well as himself. But Rahmat would have to leave his wife and 2 young children for as long as 3 years. Caught between the needs of his country and his family, Rahmat and his wife face a difficult choice.
Apa itu?
Beasiswa luar negeri.
Dari mana ya?
Ada yang ke Amerika, ada yang Jerman, ada yang Jepang, terus.
Jauh ya?
Ya kalau nggak ada masalah ya ikut.
Seandainya jadi pergi, berarti anak-anak dengan saya di sini.
Iya, boleh nggak? Ya terpaksa.
Tapi kelihatannya ya, Mas ya. Bapak ingin sekali kayaknya.
Going away to study, to bring the world's knowledge back home, is not uncommon in Asia. And Rahmat knows how desperately Indonesia needs scientists and engineers.
Kenapa harus sekolah?
Ya ini memang sudah cita-cita saya dari dulu.
Cita-cita terus memang harus di kantor. Ya dicoba aja barangkali.
Ya, oke, terima kasih.
Rahmat, the third of 10 children, comes from a poor village. His family sold batik and fish to pay for his schooling. When he became an engineer, his success was the village's triumph, a symbol of how the future could be.
Di desa saya ini
In the village where I grew up, few had electricity or running water. There were no telephones. Because their parents had no money, even smart children were unable to go to high school or even grade school.
Orang tuanya tidak mampu.
Now I can do something for the poor people of my country by developing our technology. That's my dream and my responsibility.
Indonesia's bid for high-tech is beginning to take off. Its visionary leader and Rahmat's boss, Minister Habibie, was the first Indonesian to get a PhD in aeronautical engineering. Trained in Germany, he was vice president of a German aircraft company when President Soeharto called him back to fashion a high-tech future for his country. When Soeharto took power in 1968, he titled his regime the New Order. Supported by the military's dual role as defenders and technocrats, and with close ties to Chinese business leaders, Soeharto rebuilt Indonesia with himself at the center, the puppet master. The army is still active in the country's political and business affairs. In partnership with the army and the wealthy Chinese, Soeharto has brought political stability and economic opportunity to the country. Here is where Indonesia's global ambitions begin. In Suharto's vision, Indonesia is a natural leader of the Third World. He summoned Minister Habibie to plan for the upcoming summit of non-aligned nations. A masterful politician, Soeharto is slated to be elected chairman. Today, the two must decide how best to display Indonesia's technological prowess.
Trips berarti mereka melihat pabrik industri tekstil, pabrik sepatu, sampai ke pabrik Dirgantara, telepon, kapal dan sebagainya.
Diakui. Jadi dengan demikian juga mereka bisa melihat tidak hanya teknologi yang menggunakan teknologi, tapi juga membangun sumber daya manusia. Di sampingnya sumber daya alam yang kita manfaatkan untuk mendukung pada industri tersebut. Kira
betul.
Lombok Island lies next to Bali, the exotic tourist resort. Tourism doubled in the past few years. It now brings in more than 10% of the country's foreign exchange. The government has plans to make Lombok the world's newest tropical playground. Seeing opportunity in the blue skies and unspoiled beaches, Francois has come hoping to buy land to build his own resort hotel. Ika, his local agent, has already warned him the search may not be easy.
The majority of the people here are poor and Muslim. Their customs are different from the foreign tourists. They aren't used to seeing naked people. Many are upset by the sunbathers on the beach.
Selamat siang, Bu. Lagi buat apa ini, Bu?
Nek mau bahasa Indonesia sudah.
Oh.
Apa sudah gawe?
Exploding tourist development, no matter how it may harm traditional communities, has made local people wary.
Daerah dengan saya beli? Oh, enggak ada yang beli.
Oh, jadi ini tanah negara begitu?
Iya. Ndek bau terbangun hotel itu? Bau. Oh, enggak boleh emang. Oh, jadi khusus kadun nelayan doang? Oh, yang khusus untuk nelayan aja.
Di sini khusus untuk nelayan begitu ya?
Tidak dengan kamu jual.
Oh, enggak boleh orang beli.
Tidak untuk dijual ya? Ya. Jadi ini tanah negara.
Sudah miliknya.
At one time, this island was ruled by the Hindu kingdom of Bali. The local people are a mix of Muslim and Hindu. With Lombok's unique customs and proximity to Bali, government and Chinese capital is already flowing into tourist development. Some of the locals hope the foreigners will savor more than just the scenery, but they must woo their customers from afar. They're not allowed on hotel premises.
Oh, ini apa ini?
What does this sign say?
It says the Lombok Tourist Development Company is planning to build a big resort here. It's a joint venture between the local government of Lombok Island and the Raja Wali Group.
Oh, Raja Wali Group.
Ya, bekerja sama dengan putranya Bapak Presiden Soeharto.
Oh, ya.
Jadi
One of President Soeharto's sons is one of the top people there. By putting this sign up, they can shut out other developers.
Yang bekerja sama dengan Raja Wali Group akan membangun hotel.
They are planning to build a high-class international resort like the one you find in Bali or Hawaii.
Bali dan Hawaii.
The government's plan to develop tourism on Lombok spurred a rash of land speculation, not only involving the Chinese conglomerates, but also the powerful Soeharto family.
Assalamualaikum, Pak.
Assalamualaikum. Ya.
Ika has heard that residents have been harassed into giving up their homes.
Ini uang tujuan?
Dia kuah.
Ndek
Ini
Mega sih.
tiang itu.
Oh, enggak mau dia walaupun bagaimana.
Kuala.
Iya.
Tengok anak jadi kececeran tukang pikir, tukang macam lemak tukang rampok kan dari.
Ya, dia enggak mau anaknya mereka itu di kemudian hari berantakan jadi tukang parkir jadi.
Iya.
Pendapat saya.
If you want my personal opinion, I don't want them to build any more hotels.
Why is that?
The fishermen won't have a place to work.
And they won't have anywhere to move.
If they build a hotel on this beach, the local people would no longer be able to bathe here. it will become the property of the hotel.
But when I built my hotel, I wanted to benefit the local people and give them work.
But I'm worried that the foreigners will destroy our island's culture.
But when I build my hotel, the people will sell us their produce and seafood. They will make some money, and their children can go to school. So they can benefit too.
At Indonesian Aircraft Company, work on the prototype of a new island-hopping passenger aircraft has hit a snag. Rahmat is one of the team that Minister Habibie has assembled to try and get things back on track. But foreign consultants are still needed. For Rahmat, it's another reminder of how badly his country needs to expand its own technological base. Competition for the exam is going to be intense. Rahmat studies for hours every night, even after a full day's work at the factory. Indonesia's natural resources are fueling the country's growth. Wood products account for nearly $4 billion a year in export sales. Bob Hasan has vast holdings here. He plans to turn luan trees into plywood for sale to Japan. But Japan's standards are very strict. It won't be easy. Hasan knows that most profit lies in value-added products, plywood rather than raw timber. 8 years ago, he convinced the government to stop exporting raw timber. Plywood exports took off, helped by abundant cheap labor. Thanks to Hasan's efforts, Indonesia is now one of the largest plywood exporters in the world.
Jadi sebetulnya nggak ada limbah, semua dimanfaatkan jadi 100% ini barang, termasuk sebagai bahan bakar, termasuk produk.
Determined to pass the Japanese quality standard, Hasan has selected mills with the best facilities from all over the country. If Japan accepts the quality, then plywood exports will soar. But there's a problem. The West has focused increasingly on environmental issues, especially about rainforests, and Indonesia's plywood industry has come under attack. To counter bad publicity, the government hosted a conference in Jakarta. Western journalists came to confront the forestry industry, represented by Bob Hasan.
Actually, with all these problems, with all these shortcomings, I think we are much better than the other countries. Look at the United States. If you go to the Midwest, there is no trees there. You go to Australia, you fly from Sydney to Melbourne. What do you see below? No trees. The land is all red. The land is red. It's like on the planet Mars.
Which is also part of the criticisms that you read in the press, is that there's not enough replanted compared to what is being cut.
Indonesian scientists, ITTO reports, including the World Resource Institute, have never been in the forest.
Well, these Indonesian scientists have.
No.
And Timothy Whitmore
They say
has
in
as well.
America, BS. I guarantee you, which one has been to all Indonesian forests? I'm every day doing things in the forest. I've never been to all the forests also. It's so big, it's so huge. We started with nothing. This government started building this country in 1970, actually. The most important is we employ 2.5 million people directly. So I think we have to think about our stomach. How to help our brothers and sisters who are still living under the line of poverty. That's the main problem.
These countries must find a way to balance the needs of their people, a people hungry for economic growth, against the long-term imperative of environmental protection. The West says that the rainforests are the lungs of the earth and must be preserved. But the people of the Third World ask why it is their responsibility. What about their development, their standard of living? This argument is at the heart of the dispute between developed and developing nations. Bob Hasan first met President Soeharto when Soeharto was still a troop commander. Back then, Army officers often worked hand in glove with the Chinese in their business ventures.
Saya dibesarkan oleh I was able to come this far thanks to my military friends. I learned a lot from the now deceased hero, General Yani, and from General Soeharto, now the president. I feel that my present philosophy is based on ideas of those people who assisted me and helped me to mature.
Francois must form similar alliances.
Oh ya, udah ditunggu ya.
After returning empty-handed from Lombok Island, he complained to his father about the problems Pribumi businessmen face when they try to compete with the Chinese. His father counseled him, "Don't be angry, but learn from the Chinese."
Besarnya, luasnya pabrik yang ada, dengan orang-orang saya lihat rata-rata cukup teratur.
Tonight, Francois is taking his father's advice.
Kontainer satu bulan itu berapa?
Business success means joining together with like-minded colleagues. In Indonesia, these alliances are formed early, often at college. Francois and his friends are planning a new business group, sharing expertise and capital. Tonight, Francois has an unusual proposal.
For over 350 years, we were ruled by the Dutch. That was when the Chinese came over to start their businesses. The Chinese used that to their advantage and succeeded.
Why do you think so many Chinese got preferential treatment from the government? Because they knew how to do business. Even if we fight the Chinese on the same ground, we have no chance of winning. They have everything: market, capital, and technology.
I called you together today so that we can form a new business group. But do you think it's really possible to form a group with just Pribumis? I think it would be better to include the Chinese. What do you think?
If we can do that, it's fine with me.
I'm against it. Even if we did, we wouldn't be able to free ourselves from them. Since we have less capital, they'll turn out to be the winners in the end.
And what about us? Time passes and we just remain customers.
Like many young Pribumi entrepreneurs, Francois knows he has no choice but to develop Pribumi Chinese alliances. Bob Hasan is now launching a new venture, one he hopes will bring international sports attention to his country. It is the richest marathon race in the world. The Borobudur Run has become an event people refer to as the Bob Hasan 10K.
I have a question for you, Mr. Hasan. How will this 10-kilometer race affect our Indonesian runners?
When I started holding these races, the fastest Indonesian record was 36 minutes. Now it's in the 30-minute range. I think the race has helped a lot to boost the quality of our runners.
Borobudur, a great Buddhist temple built on the island of Java almost 1,000 years ago. Bob Hasan's placed the finish line right at its base. It's an effective piece of marketing. Sports writers and media attracted by the race will also be helping promote Indonesia's tourist industry. To attract the world's best marathon runners and build international publicity, Bob Hasan has agreed to personally pay the winner $1 million if a world record is broken.
Halo. Cubi. Cis. Hai, gimana?
How have you been?
Baik-baik. Saya sama teman-teman ini, ya pribumi ya.
Well, my Pribumi friends and I have organized a business group. And we've been thinking, how we could invite you to join. We need some Chinese businessmen in our group, I think. What do you think?
Untuk gabung gitu.
Oh, nah saya setuju sama idenya itu.
Ya.
Ya, tapi saya harus ini dulu, harus melihat kegiatan saya dulu, nanti saya akan beri kabar kepada Pak Ajis lagi.
Oh, jadi sibuk ya?
Oh, you're busy, huh?
Nanti saya suruh orang saya hubungin Bapak Ajis dulu, akan beri kabar.
Oke.
Oke.
Yuk, makasih ya.
Yuk.
Salam ya.
Ya,
Yuk, mari.
sama-sama. Yuk.
Francois flies to Lombok again, determined to find a hotel site, but there are so many obstacles. With interest rates now at 30%, the Chinese conglomerates, flush with capital, have a considerable advantage. And the Soeharto family also has a strong business presence here. But Ika has found 2 landowners who seem willing to make a deal. She's told them Francois will treat them fairly.
Kalau tanah Pak Haji, batas-batasnya dari mana aja, Pak?
Nah, dari sini ya. Di sini ke sana, terus
ya.
sampai sana lagi. Sampai sana.
Sana terus?
Ya.
Sana?
Ke sana. Terus ini kan ada batas juga sedikit sini ya.
Iya.
Sini.
Ya.
Di sini lah sini. Mana? Mana? Di sini.
Itu ya? Iya. Jadi dua-duanya memang mau jual bersama-sama begitu ya? Kalau harga bagaimana Pak Haji biasanya?
Dari pasaran saja.
Dari pasaran?
Iya, pasaran.
Tapi surat-suratnya bagaimana Pak Haji?
Sudah ada surat.
Tentunya kan Pak Raden, Pak Haji punya saudara-saudara penduduk juga di sini. Bisa ini ya?
Kita masukkan wisata gitu.
Ya begitu maksudnya memang. Iya.
Lombok is an unspoiled island with immense hidden potential. I think the number of tourists will continue to increase. If I built a hotel, I could provide many jobs, and the local people would be able to make money selling souvenirs to the foreigners.
Lebih banyak untuk orang-orang Lombok.
I have made up my mind. The hotel that I built here will serve the local people. We will find a way to design it that will not destroy the natural beauty or the native culture here.
Mengenalkan Lombok ke mancanegara.
At Indonesian Aircraft Company, Rahmat's day of reckoning has finally come. Minister Habibie has arranged for examinations to be held in government ministries and state-owned companies across the nation. Of 1,200 engineers and scientists who are competing for the chance to study overseas, only 150 will be selected. After weeks of uncertainty, Rahmat will soon discover in which direction his future is headed.
Apa? Selamat pagi. Ohayou gozaimasu. Pintar. Terus kalau terima kasih. Aduh, pintar. Coba kalau selamat siang. Keras. Aduh, pinter. Sekarang nanti kalau di sana harus berani ya. Nanti ngomong. Nanti kalau Ria ikut bapak ke Jepang.
Silahkan. Pak Rahmat. Silahkan Pak Rahmat. Enggak. Ini ternyata sudah ada pengumuman nih. Coba nih, pengumuman state. Pak Rahmat dapat ke Jepang nih. Selamat.
Terima kasih Pak. Terima kasih.
Ya ini. Nah di Jepang itu ya, itu biaya siswanya mahal sekali, 2 kali daripada yang biasa.
Sini maksudnya sini, kamu jelaskan.
Jadi ini.
Jadi ini yang satu, dua. Ayo sini. Gimana? Selamat pagi, apa kabar?
Baik Pak. Saya adalah yang akan berangkat ke Jepang Pak. Program State ya.
Kapan sih berangkat ke state?
Saya tanggal 26 mulai berangkat.
Nah ini saya harapkan supaya nanti Saudara Rahmat dalam waktu yang singkat itu, kurang lebih 3 tahun nanti, 2-3 tahun, benar-benar bisa kembali dan membantu saya dan pimpinan yang lain dalam mempersiapkan kader-kader.
Oh iya Pak, saya akan berusaha keras untuk mempelajari dalam bidang power development.
Baik, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Ya, selamat jalan ya.
Terima kasih.
Baik.
After closing the deal on the hotel site, Francois has gathered his staff at the Bumi Group. He's told them the new Lombok Prince Hotel will be their top priority.
Jadi kan artinya kita tuh udah
Having succeeded in finding land, they can at last begin transforming his dream into a reality.
Cukup tinggi ya. Itu sudah. Jadi pada hari ini tahap pertama dalam.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the Lombok Prince Hotel. This is the main lobby. Here we'll have movie theaters, and here are the cottages. Here's the dock. You can take a boat to the 2 islands. So now we can just sit back and let the hotel build itself.
Francois has other challenges ahead. He's come to Jakarta's Chinatown for a meeting with Hans, a Chinese businessman who may be interested in joining the new business group. For 5 generations, Hans' family have run hotels and furniture factories in Indonesia. Like Francois, he grew up in a family of entrepreneurs.
Sebenarnya begini,
Several business friends and I have started a new business group. But at the moment, everybody is a pribumi. We have no Chinese businessmen.
Pribumis and Chinese are both Indonesian. I don't mind doing business with pribumis to make money.
Saya akan kasih tahu teman-teman itu.
If you really feel that way, you should join our group.
Mau bergabung.
Saya akan memikirkan.
Well, I'll think about it.
Ya, kita kan udah membicarakan tadi segala macam.
Halo, Han.
Han. Halo, Han. Apa kabar?
I didn't think you'd come.
Menurut pendapat saya memang sudah seharusnya.
Well, I think it's time Pribumis and Chinese try to stop fighting and start to work together.
Luar.
Ide kita itu bahwa
But before we go on, I want to get the group consensus. Shall we go ahead and try to work together, Pribumis and Chinese?
Well, it's one way to fight their advantage. Who knows, we might even become successful.
In any case, we have to start somewhere. I just hope the word will spread and our group gets bigger.
Menurut pendapat saya juga hal itu cocok sekali.
I'm ready to give it a try. But as a first step, we should start with something small. Then, as we get to know each other better, we can set our sights on something bigger.
Menyelesaikan suatu proyek misalnya.
The day of the Bob Hasan 10K has arrived, and the media are here from across the region. Even a TV crew from America attracted by the idea of the world's richest run. For Bob Hasan, it's another chance to build Indonesia's profile in the world. In the end, no one breaks the world record, but still there's plenty to celebrate. The Borobudur run was a great success.
10,000 runners competed today at Borobudur in the Bob Hasan 10K race.
Now there's another cause for celebration. As president of the Indonesian Plywood Association, Bob Hasan is hosting a dinner attended by many of his country's most influential business leaders. He's recently heard from Tokyo, and the news means big profits for Bob Hasan, big profits for his country.
Can I have your attention, please? Let me introduce you to Mr. Masaki, the representative of the Indonesian Plywood Association's Japan office. I'm proud to say 12 of our factories have passed the Japanese forestry standards. Now we can hope that more Japanese will buy our plywood in the future.
The summit of the movement of non-aligned nations is held in Jakarta. As expected, delegates have elected President Soeharto chairman. Minister Habibie plays host at Indonesian Aircraft Company.
A supercomputer here, get the biggest IBM computer technology.
With delegates impressed by their tour, President Soeharto is one step closer to his goal of making Indonesia a technological leader of the third world. And the bright young men who must keep his dream growing are on their way out into the world.
Itu yang 872.
Iya, pergi jam berapa?
22.50.
Masih sempat ya? Masih. Iya, Bapak pergi.
Iya. Iya, nggak boleh nakal ya. Nanti pulang sama Om Bim ya. Sama Tante Ici, sama Mama.
Iya.
Ya.
Mau minta apa Bapak?
Mau nitip apa? Nanti Ria kirim surat bisa? Hah? Bisa?
Nggak bisa.
Nanti nulis yang gede-gede ya kalau nulisnya.
Iya.
Ya? Iya dong. Harus
Ya,
nulis
salam Bapak.
ya.
Salam Bapak dong.
Nanti salam ya. Ya.
Terpaksa saya meninggalkan keluarga.
My younger boy doesn't walk yet. My older daughter just entered kindergarten. Now is the time my family needs my love the most. And yet, I'm about to leave for Japan. But my country needs me too.
Bisa mempelajari.
To make up for the sacrifice I'm forcing on my family, I'm going to study very hard. Someday, my children will understand.
Pengorbanan saya ini.
Goodbye. I'll see you in 3 years' time.
Indonesia, land of more than 13,000 islands, some 200 million people, a stew of dialects and cultures. Indonesia is a giant, stirring, gradually waking up, stepping outside the shadows, stepping out from behind the screen, willing and eager to take its place as an economic power in the world. It is a nation with immense ambition, immense resources, and immense potential. But its internal tensions can still hold it back.
Tetapi kita atau saya sebagai bangsa pribumi,
what the Chinese can do, we pribumis surely can do.
apa yang mereka capai.
I'm tired of all these conflicts.
Selesai
Why can't we become good rivals and good friends?
pemerataan, kita harus lebih giat bekerja lagi.
I'm going to work hard to close the gap between the two. So together, we can both enjoy the fruits of our labor in this great country, Indonesia.
Dapat kita petik dari bumi Indonesia ini.